Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin. Allahumma salli wa la'natullah ala a'da'ihim ajma'in. Continuing from last night, we were discussing the batini, inner dimensions of the ritual of wudu. And we had said that there are many ahadith which disclose some of the secrets behind the wudu. And they give the story of Adam alayhi salam. The story of where there's Adam, Eve alayhim salam. There's a tree, they take from the tree, and so on and so forth. This story is also mentioned in the Holy Quran. But in the hadith, it's saying that as a result of what happened in the story of Adam alayhi salam, as a result of that, the wudu was prescribed. So here we have to look at this story now in more detail. The hadith is quite lengthy, saying that Adam alayhi salam was facing the tree, you wash your face. Took from the tree, you wash your hands. Offered the products of the tree, the fruits of the tree, as a symbol on his head, giving it to Hawa alayhi salam. You wipe your head. And the walking to and from the tree, you wipe your feet. Now, before we get to understand what these mean, first we have to establish this event. Is it a reality or not? Well, the answer is, of course it is. There's no symbolism in the Holy Quran. Everything is haqq. It's all real. However, being real doesn't mean it has to be material. Many things are real, but they reside in the metaphysical realms of existence. And so where we left off last night was, let's try and establish in which realm of existence did this story of the Holy Quran actually arise. If this is established, yes, we may disclose more information and secrets and trying to unlock this story. But if the Mufassir, exegete, the angle he looks at the Holy Quran is a materialistic angle, there's going to be problems. If they say, yes, Adam was in this dunya, the tree was a physical tree, the fruits were physical fruits, Hawa was with him, they were walking in the physical world, and then they took physical and consumed physically everything, and God told them not to go there, but they still went there physically. What kind of an understanding of a ma'soom is this? It's going to lead to many problems. Yes, the Quran says he made an error, but made an error where? In this physical realm of existence? Or was it in another realm of existence? In that other realm of existence, was it physical or metaphysical? If it's physical, you're going to have problems. We discussed the problems last night, and we rejected the idea of tarka awla even. That's even problematic rationally. If it's a metaphysical realm of existence, what does rebelling mean? What does disobeying Allah mean? He took from the tree. And we have this problem, even amongst many scholars who have only studied certain fields of science. And without the sciences of philosophy and irfan and other inner sciences of the tariqah, they feel that these tools are not important. And then they want to now speak about the Quran. Then they speak of Qiyamah, Barzakh. It's all physical. Everything they give a tafsir of is physical. And I'll give examples of that in the next few sessions, inshallah. And then if that wasn't enough, now people who are not qualified, who are physicians, engineers, they give themselves the right to come and give tafsir of the Holy Quran. Look, I mean, it's going to end up in a very difficult scenarios. Anyway, first we have to establish in which realm of existence this happened. Now, it's a very simple concept, and I'll try to explain it as simply as I can. There are two arcs of existence, they call it. A descending arc of existence and an ascending arc of existence. What I'm about to explain is an exegesis of the phrase Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That Inna lillah, we're all Allah's. That's the descending arc of existence. Wa inna ilayhi raji'un, that entails the ascending arc. In the descending arc, I'll just give one example, just for you to be able to digest it easier. If you imagine an architect who has knowledge of architecture, knowledge, for example, the mathematical formulae of required, this abstract knowledge is an immaterial entity. And then out of that immaterial reality, what descends from it is a semi-immaterial reality, the pictures of the house in the mind of the architect. The abstract knowledge becomes manifested one level down. And the abstract remains abstract, but it manifests into semi-immaterial. After the architect thinks a bit and plans a bit mentally, now a manifestation of that knowledge is semi-immaterial mental pictures of the house. And then they sketch a picture on a piece of paper and eventually build the house, which is a physical house. It's only an analogy here. See how from different realms of existences, from the immaterial, it descends and you get a physical house. Allah is beyond realms of immateriality. The names of Allah are beyond the realms of immateriality. But the names of Allah descend and manifest in an immaterial aqli realm, sometimes known as the realm of angels. That's a created realm. And then from the aqli, immaterial realm, let's say, for example, the attribute of Allah's knowledge, for example. This can apply to any attribute of Allah. The reality of the attribute of Allah is something beyond immateriality. But it manifests. It manifests before getting into the physical realm. It manifests into many realms before the physical realm of existence. And one is an immaterial realm, and then the immaterial reality manifests into a semi-immaterial, and ultimately that semi-immaterial realm manifests in the physical realm. And all those preceding realms before the physical realm have a causal role in relation to the physical realm of existence. And there's no time here. This is a hierarchical descending arc of existence. So that's why I gave the analogy of the architect. So before we were created, before us, Allah's X attribute, and it applies to all of them, manifested into different realms of existence before creating man and anything in the physical realm of existence. So if you like, the preceding realms of existence before the creation of man, they had a semi-immaterial, immaterial, beyond the immaterial, in quotes, software, upon which this physical man is created. Because they all have a causal role. It's like the relationship between the abstract knowledge of the architect and the mental pictures of the architect. That has a causal role. And when the final physical house is built, what's the relationship between the mental picture of the house and the house? The properties of the mental pictures of the house and the house. The house that you have here is a result of those preceding semi-immaterial and immaterial layers of the architect. So this is the descending arc of existence. In relation to the ascending arc of existence, now man is created. Man wants to get to the beyond immaterial layers of existence. One wants to become Khalifatullah. One wants to gain access to Allah's attributes. But right now he's a physical entity. Now he has to, through spiritual wayfaring, has to ascend spiritually these different layers before even acquiring states higher than the immaterial realms of the angels. It's possible. And the actions that we do, the knowledge that we have, this is the very fabric of what we make of ourselves and which layer of existence we succeed to attain to. And we are building our heaven or hell depending on our actions moment to moment, but in the physical realm we don't see it because we're drowned in the physical realm of existence. But heaven and hell is a result of your actions. It's there in the ascending arc of existence. It's only when you physically die, it manifests before you. That's it. Not that it starts. Heaven and hell doesn't start after death. It starts right from birth. But it manifests after physical death, but some people can have access to it. They see the heavenly or hell status quo through whatever mechanisms, be it of spiritual wayfaring or other. So this is the ascending arc. So the heaven, inshallah, we will go to lies where? In the ascending arc of existence. Because even when we die, we're still traveling towards Allah. Heaven is there, inshallah, for us. And that's a result of your knowledge and actions. Okay, so given that, this story of Adam alayhi salam, this talk of it being Jannah, heaven. We've explained and established last night that it wasn't in the physical realm. That has too many problems associated with it. If it wasn't in the physical realm, it has to be therefore in a metaphysical realm. This metaphysical realm of heaven, is it within the descending arc of existence or the descending or the ascending arc of existence? If it's in the ascending, if the heaven in this story is in the ascending arc of existence, then what is Iblis doing there? And if it's in the ascending arc of existence, this idea of wudu, which was to purify one, and we'll talk more about that later, is game over now in the ascending realm of existence. And then someone who is in the heaven of the ascending arc of existence, why should they come back? Why would they be rejected out of that heaven? Sometimes you have access to what your heavenly status quo is. But after physical death, if you're in heaven, there's no coming back anymore. But even then, why would the imperative of ihbitu apply or qualify in the ascending arc of existence? These questions have to be answered. Why would Iblis of all entities be in the ascending arc of existence? Because the Quran says you're always going to be in hell. That's your place. So what are you doing in heaven here? So it can't be the heaven of the... It's not physical. It doesn't matter. Have you ever had a dream where there's a tree and an apple and you consumed an apple from the tree, for example? So it doesn't have to be physical. It's metaphysical. Now this metaphysical, the Quran is calling it Jannah. Okay? And it has pictures, so it's not purely immaterial. So it's in a semi-immaterial realm. It doesn't seem to be in the ascending arc of existence. It has too many inconsistencies to answer. Namely, what is Iblis doing there? What does ihbitu mean? So now let's go in the descending arc of existence. Let's look at the semi-immaterial realm. In that realm, we said that in the creation of man, the preceding realms of existences, in the descending arc of existence, has a causal role, an influencing role in the makeup of man, the physical being. And many of the inclinations, instincts, fitra, and other things, its makeup, the software, was planned and is a manifestation of Allah's attributes in the semi-immaterial realm and in the immaterial realm. Here, in the semi-immaterial realm, in the descending arc of existence, yes, there is Jannah. There is a tree. There's no Adam yet. We don't have Adam, the physical entity, yet. Now, Adam was the first physical creature of our cycle. Otherwise, before Adam, there were infinite number of cycles. Keep on going back. There's no beginning. Time has no beginning because the physical realm of existence has no beginning. Keep on going back. Here, there's a tree in the descending arc of existence in the semi-immaterial realm because you have a tree and everything. There's a fruit of the tree. There's Adam there. Eve is there. Iblis is there. Adam takes from the tree. Allah said, don't take from the tree. He took from the tree. Iblis deceived him. He made an error and took from the tree. And then the order was given, now go down. Ihbitu. Here, when Adam was created, the makeup of Adam included all these events in the preceding realms of existence before his physical creation, including this story. It's the station of being human. What's the station of being human? That if you are attentive to the dunya, you're going to get polluted. You are after perfection. These are all inculcated, all ingrained in me, you, and all human beings. With Adam alayhi salam, who was the first, it was also inculcated. Although inculcated isn't the right word, but it was ingrained. It's part of what being Adam, being a human being means. And we all have this. It's just that with Adam alayhi salam, this was opened up for everyone. That if you are attentive to the dunya, the tree being the dunya, if attentiveness to the dunya distracts you from Allah, yes, you're going to be distanced. You shouldn't have affinities towards the dunya. But that is the station of being human being. That's a maqam adamiyat. It applies to everyone. We all have it within our makeup. And so, this is within all of us. When you go to work, when you're facing whatever you face at your work, you become attentive to the dunya. At work, when you do things with your hands, you become attentive to the dunya. When you take things for your family, what you earn, you become attentive to that. The walking towards dunya, to and from the dunya, you become attentive to the dunya. We said the wudu was prescribed in order to cleanse one, because there's no synchronicity between being affiliated or having affinity towards the dunya, darkness, with light of salat. Darkness can't encounter light. At the workplace, and this is the station of human being, we are inevitably polluted. It's inevitable. Look, this is only when you are attentive to the dunya. Otherwise, when you do haram, God forbid, that's not going to go away with a wudu. That you need repentance. What we're saying now is attentiveness to the dunya darkens you. But this darkening can be cleansed through wudu before you enter salat and other acts of worship. And that's why it's recommended to constantly be in a state of wudu. Because during the day, you're always inevitably going to be polluted. And this is the story of Adam and the tree. So it was in heaven within the descending arc of existence. And we all have it. But Adam had access to it, saw it because of his station. We are blind and oblivious to it. And so when Adam was created, it was with this. And this existential stories of the Quran expound upon the existential stages of man, what is man and what man can become. We discussed that. And so this story discusses what I, the first person singular, am. And it opens up one of the existential stages of man, in this case, within the descending arc of existence. Now there's another story of the Holy Quran whereby it's the story of Dawood alayhi salam in chapter 38. It starts from verse 21. Just one last point on the previous story. So man is created with this preceding existential heaven and what happened there. It's within man. Then Nabi Adam repented by saying, Rabbana dhalamna anfusana wa in lam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna min al-khasirin. That, oh Allah, we wronged ourselves. And if you don't relieve the side effects of us, the side effects of this stage of man, attentiveness to the dunya leads to pollution. And give mercy to us, we're going to be one of the losers. So he wanted this. It's not forgiveness. Istighfar doesn't always mean. It means a covering, a relieving. Forgiveness is a very deceiving translation. And so he requested, as a result of this station of Adamiyat, to be relieved of the side effects that this stage of man has. And then what was he given after this? وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. He became a true Khalifatullah, successor of Allah. Successor of what of Allah? Succeeding Allah's attributes. Because when one has no attentiveness to the dunya, they can become a Khalifa of Allah and manifest Allah's attributes. So look, this all fits in with one another here. In this story of Dawood, a similar thing is happening here. In chapter 38, Surah As-Sad, from verse 21. وَهَلْ أَتَاكَ النَّبَأُ الْخَصْمِ إِذْ تَسَوَّرُوا الْمِحْرَابِ. Has the news of the adversaries encountered you when they climbed over the mihrab? Nabi Dawood, the ahadith say it was a Sunday or a Saturday, it was a day of rest. He was in his mihrab doing munajat, supplicating before Allah. The verse here says, have you encountered this story of Dawood when the adversaries climbed over? Now, the way the ahadith say it was a castle, thousands of guards, this, that and the other. It wasn't a day of work. Now, suddenly adversaries climb over this castle and enter Dawood's presence. إِذْ دَخَلُوا عَلَى Dawood. They entered recall when they entered the presence of Dawood, فَفَزَعَ مِنْهُمْ. Then Dawood alayhi salam became a bit shocked, alarmed with them. قَالُوا لَا تَخَفْ. The adversaries said, don't be scared. Allahu Akbar. Who were these adversaries? Were they of a higher degree than Dawood for them to tell a Ma'soom not to be scared? Look, if this is a material story in the physical realm, the problems are starting already. First, how can they get into the mihrab? Day of rest. Why are they going there? Why should Dawood be alarmed? Why should he be scared? Then these people say, don't be scared. As if they're comforting Dawood. Khasmani, we're two groups of adversaries. Bagha ba'duna ala ba'd. Some of us have wronged the other. Fahkum baynana bil haqq. You judge between us through haqq. I mean, who are they to tell Dawood? I mean, Dawood will judge through haqq anyway. And then furthermore, wala tushtid. Don't transgress. Where is this order coming from? Who are they to tell Dawood alayhi salam not to transgress? Wahdina ila sawa'is sirat, and guide us to the right path. Okay, what's this story? Inna hadha akhi. There were two groups. Now the representatives of each group now are speaking. This is my brother. Lahu tis'un wa tis'una na'ja. That he has 99 ewes, female sheep. Wali, but with me, na'jatun wahida. I have one ewe. E-W-E, sorry. The female sheep, they call it. In Farsi, mish, for example. Faqala, so my brother has 99. Now, it may be brother in religion, brother in whatever. I have only one. Faqala, he who has 99 says, Akfilniha wa azzani fil khitab. He's saying that entrust that female sheep to me. He wants me to entrust it, kafala, to them. And he's overpowering in speech, as if he's kind of dominating and forcing me to give it. And the story was that this sheep, female sheep, did wrong in the property of the owner of 99. Female sheep caused damage. He said, to compensate for the damage you caused, give me that one sheep that you have so I can earn, and then you can compensate that damage, and then we're equal. So he says, this is my brother. He has 99 ewes. I have one. He's telling me to entrust my one to him. قال, then Dawood said, لقد ظلمك بالسؤال نعجتك إلى نعاجه. The brother with 99 ewes has wronged you in asking for your one female sheep to be included amongst his. And then the verse says that many partners in work, many partners do wrongdoing against the other partners. وَذَنَّ دَاوُودَ أَنَّمَا فَتَنَّاهُ. Dawood realized then that he had been tested. فَاسْتَغْفَرَ رَبَّهُ, and he wanted to seek relief by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This istighfar again. He wanted to seek relief from the side effects of whatever this was. وَخَرَّ رَاكِعًا, he fell down prostrating. وَأَنَابَ, Anab, you see, Inaba is different to Tawbah. With Tawbah, you've done something wrong, now you're returning to Allah. With Inaba, you've done nothing wrong, but you're still returning to Him. There was no inattentiveness from the start. فَغَفَرْنَا لَهُ ذَلِكَ, and we relieved him of this. وَإِنَّ لَهُ إِنْدَنَا لَزُلْفَى, very Dawood, before us, before Allah, has a very high station of nearness. وَحُسْنَ مَآبٍ, and has a good place of return. Then the last verse, يَا دَاوُودْ إِنَّا جَعَلْنَاكَ خَلِيفَةً فِي الْأَرْضِ. He became a Khalifa after this story. Look, like Adam, who after that story became a Khalifa. This story too, he became a Khalifa. Dawood became a Khalifa then. Before we started from verse 21, but the preceding verse says Dawood was Dhal Aid. He was a man of strength. He was awwab, constantly attentive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mountains would pray behind him. The birds would repeat after him. The kingdom was based on wisdom. These before the story started. After the story, at the end of the story, it says, La Zulfa, he had a high station of nearness before Allah. Husna Ma'ab, he has a very, when he returns, it's a very good place. In the middle, there's a story. Now you suddenly want to give this story a materialistic story, and you say he made a mistake. Look, if he makes a mistake, this is a problem. Even if it's tarka awla, it's a problem. It doesn't fit with before the verses or after the verses. If Dawood in the physical realm was going to make a mistake, then whatever he does, everyone can say, well, this was the second best decision. Maybe he did tarka awla. Everything he does now is going to be this. You're attributing deficiency to Allah's wisdom by saying this. Ayatollah Jawadi Amali, Hafadahullah, Allame Tabatabai, Rahmatullah alayh, say this was also a metaphysical realm of existence, a tamathul, apparition. But the difference with the story of Adam is, like with the revelation of any holy book, a holy man who undergoes mi'raj can gain access to the manifestations of Allah's attributes in the descending arc of existence. Allah's manifestation of His attributes in the descending arc of existence is happening moment to moment. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم, since pre-eternity to post-eternity. We have access to that. Dawood had a mi'raj, and whatever he saw was metaphysical. He had access to Allah's attributes in the descending realm of existence, descending arc. There was an error, but in the metaphysical realm. Error in the metaphysical realm has no meaning like it does in the physical realm. And that tamathul, an apparition he had, was the station of Dawoodiyya, which was necessary for him before being a Khalifa on earth. Look. This is how we have to look at the stories of the Quran. Now look at every story of the Quran. Inshallah, the day after tomorrow, because I wanted to go through other things, the story of Sulaiman will cover. And how the story of Sulaiman hasn't been understood. There's one verse in the Holy Quran. I couldn't find one Quran, be it in the English translation or the Farsi translation, that has translated this verse correctly. It's in chapter 38 in relation to Sulaiman alayhi salam. And then when this happens, look at what the Mufassirin are going to say now. And they've said many things which goes against the station of prophethood. All this is traced back to our deficiency in understanding the station of prophethood, what is a prophet, and the reason for not understanding it is traced back to a lack of our tawhid. We haven't understood tawhid yet. Inshallah, we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, a few zikr musibat, inshallah. Tonight is the eve of the 7th of Muharram, and it's the day, the 7th is when they cut off the Ahlul Bayt's access to water. And that's why usually on the eve of the 7th, the scholars, there's nothing, that we don't have to do this, but because of this event, they relate it with Ali Asghar and what happened with Ali Asghar. Ali Asghar has there are many secrets within the existence of Ali Asghar. Because we usually, our minds see everything materialistically, when the story of Ali Asghar is given, we very easily say, well, it's happening in Yemen, it's happening in Palestine every day. And that's wrong. I mean, what's happening there is wrong, and we have to support the causes in Yemen, in Palestine, and so on and so forth, and elsewhere. But when you do that, even when you cry, because you relate Ali Asghar to any normal, ordinary 6-month infant, yes, you've lost the plot. You still haven't realized what's happening here. Here, as I go through it, inshallah, I'll try to unlock what's at stake here. Something which has evolved throughout the generations is that although all the ma'sumin are babul hawa'ij, okay, the door to our needs, all of them are. But for whatever reason, and we respect this reason because it's kind of passed through the generations. At least, generation after generation, they were ughala people, they were rational people who would act rationally. And Babul Hawa'ij has been assigned for 3 individuals, even though all the ma'sumin are Babul Hawa'ij. But it's interesting to know why these three. And I don't know the answer to that. But they were Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, and Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad gave the order to Umar ibn Sa'd on the 7th of Muharram to segregate Hussein's alayhi salam's camp from the parts of the Euphrates which was accessible. They call it the Sharia. And he would say not even a single drop of water should reach anyone from the Ahlul Bayt. And Ali Asghar was one of the last members of Ahlul Bayt to be martyred. The last one was another son of Imam Hassan by the name of Abdullah. He was 11 years old. But before that, Ali Asghar was the penultimate Shaheed amongst the men of Ahlul Bayt. Imam Hussein, on observing most family members and companions being martyred, decided it was time for him to enter the battlefield and offer his holy blood to his beloved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The maqtals are many. And, after the Safawi period, many things entered the ahadith. But our scholars have identified those threats. But during the Safawi period, Shiism grew, and we thank the Safawi for the good that they led to the growth of Shiism. And the likes of, 400 years ago, like of Shaykh Baha'i and many came and worked with the governing forces who were kings, who weren't, legitimate as an Islamic ruler, but they had a lot of force, and the likes of Shaykh Baha'i and many others, they came and they added on to this growth of Shiism. In the Maqtals, it was a very positive growth, even in the Maqtals, and how they would mourn for Imam Hussein. Many customs started from there, and I have no problem with that. But many things entered the compendium of ahadith. Those things, though, the scholars identified. But sometimes you see the dhakirs mentioning them. In my very humble opinion, I don't want to, change anyone's mind, but Sayyid ibn Tawus's maqtal, the luhuf, is something we shouldn't ignore that easily. Because he was a polymath, an expert in all fields, even the occult sciences and the Batini sciences, in addition to the outer sciences. And so, if he's said something, he definitely had everything at his disposal, and he would properly identify and then mention them. Yes, there's one thing which is very ambiguous. He says Umar ibn Sa'd killed Imam Hussein. He went on the chest and killed him. Whereas everyone else is saying Shim. That has to be unlocked in its own time. But when he doesn't make mention of certain events which everyone else mentions, or most of them, or certain individuals' names, when everyone else mentions, one has the right to put a question mark. And that's why even some of the more recent Maqtal compilers, they say after the Safavid onwards, any book which has come out, we're not going to use them as a reference. Because of the sudden, infiltration of so many information, and some of it, not all. I don't want to, downgrade the services that the Safawi governments did for Iran and Shiism in general, but there were dangers also at stake. Anyway, Imam Hussein alayhi salam said it's time to enter the battlefield. Then he exclaimed, هل من ذاب يذب عن حرم رسول الله? Is there any supporter or defender of the sanctuary of the Holy Messenger amongst us? Talking to those with him, those outside the enemy camp. هل من موحد يخاف الله فينا? Is there any monotheist who is scared of Allah in relation to us? i.e., shouldn't you help us? Be scared of Allah. Isn't there any monotheist left? It just shows the status of the 30,000 camp opposing him. There was no tawhid there. When you reject the 30,000 man camp of the enemy camp, they were like me and you, most of them. They knew Imam Hussein was haqq. They knew he stood for truth. Me and you too. Most of them were crying. But they were scared of the authorities. Like me and you again. The Muslims in America, in the UK, in Canada. They cry for Imam Hussein too. They know Imam Hussein is haqq. So did the majority of the 30,000 people in the enemy camp. Our crying is in tune with their crying. Not in tune with the crying of the likes of Lady Zainab alayhi salam. هل من ذاب يذب عن حرم رسول الله؟ هل من موحد يخاف الله فينا؟ هل من مغيث يرجو الله بإغاثتنا? Is there any helper who, by means of helping us, has hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? هل من مؤين يرجو عند الله في إعانتنا? Imam is saying these statements. It's an open invitation. فارتفعت أصوات النساء. The sounds of the women rose. Bil awil. The lamentations, the cries of the women suddenly increased. فتقدم إلى الخيمة. The Imam approached the tents. Now look, the context. He's given 4 statements, 4 invitations. The women are crying. What follows is he goes to the tents. That wasn't supposed to happen. He wanted to go to the battlefield. He gave 4 invitations, statements, and then he went to the tents. Something's happening in the tents there. It seems someone has accepted the Imam's invitation. Allahu Akbar. Who? They're all gone. Imam Sajjad couldn't come. Destiny wouldn't allow it. Imam Baqir was there. Destiny wouldn't allow it. Some reports Imam Sajjad wanted to come out. The clouds were blackening. It would be the end of everything. Destiny has to play its role here. So why is he going to the tents? فقال لزينب. He said to Lady Zainab alayhi salam, يا أختاه ناوليني ولدي الصغير, that bring to me this infant, this small child of mine. Okay, why? And then this term, حتى أودعه. أودعه. So I bid him farewell. To who? To Ali Asghar. Why? Ali Asghar wants to be martyred. Ali Asghar alayhi salam has full awareness. He knows what's happening. The Imam is there any supporter left? Ali Asghar says to the Imam, yes, me. Did he speak? No, he didn't speak. Look, just a marginal point. Sometimes with the Urafa, when they see someone's face, physical face. They're seeing the physical face. As a result of that, they see with the eye of their heart the barzakhi reality of that person. For example, when you're reading a book of mathematics, you're reading black and white lines. It's a physical thing you're reading. But then you discover a mathematical truth that's immaterial. It's granted upon you. But these were preliminary things that you saw. It made you disclose a mathematical truth. Sometimes the face of individuals always discloses the inner reality of people. An Arif can see, oh, this person, or by looking at the physical face. The inner eye sees, oh, this person's a wolf. This person's a bear. This person's a scorpion, a snake. That's the barzakhi reality. Imam gave 4 statements of inviting. After giving it, he went to the tents to bid farewell to Ali Asghar. But how the outer story given is that I want to go to the battlefield, goodbye my son. And you treat the son as a normal infant. No. Ali Asghar is a ma'soom. He has full awareness. The Imam gave the statement. The Imam knew. Ali Asghar informed the Imam, not through verbal talking, either through his face or other means, that I want to be martyred. Ali Asghar thoroughly, wholeheartedly, with full irfan and being full awareness, he wanted to go. He accepted the Imam's call. Imam Sajjad couldn't go. Imam Baqir couldn't go. Even though he was 3, he couldn't go. Not that they didn't want to, but they couldn't. Destiny wouldn't allow it. But he went. Then the Maqtals read in Luhuf. He says, now here, Sayyid ibn Tawus doesn't mention this. Other Maqtals do. This idea of in lam tarhamuni farhamu hadha tifl al-radhi. If you're not going to have mercy on us, have mercy on this. Sayyid ibn Tawus doesn't mention this, because that's a sidetrack. It's going back to the outer story and seeing Ali Akbar, for example, like any six-month infant. But the batin, no. Ali Asghar, in the batin sense, he has no need for water. He has no need for sympathy. He wants to be martyred. After giving the invitations, the Imam goes to the tents, takes Ali Asghar, and accepts his yearning to be martyred. Sayyid ibn Tawus in his Luhuf says, فَأَخَذَهُ, the Imam took him. وَأَوْمَأَ إِلَيْهِ لِيُقَبِّلَهُ, then came down, when he took him in his hands, came down to kiss Ali Asghar, to bid farewell. You want to be martyred. He knew he is going to be martyred. And so Ali Asghar wants to be martyred with complete free will. Now Umar ibn Sa'd was close by the tents. Why? Remember, we said he was in charge in acting as a barrier for the Ahlul Bayt in reaching the river. So how would they act as a barrier? They would line a number of soldiers. He was organizing that. He's close to the tents, therefore. And he was accompanied by Harmala, the son of Al-Kahil al-Asadi. When the Imam was bidding farewell, coming down and kissing Ali Asghar, who wanted the blood of martyrdom, Umar ibn Sa'd said, hit him. Harmala Said, hit who? Because the father and son are together. Umar said, hit the strike the son. And then فَرَمَاهُ حَرْمَلَةُ بْنُ الْكَاهِلِ الْأَسَدِي. He struck Ali Asghar. لَعَنَهُ اللَّهُ ta'ala. May Allah the Almighty curse him. Struck him with what? بِسَهْمٍ, with an arrow. فَوَقَعَ فِي نَهْرِهِ فَذَبَحَهُ. It struck the throat of Ali Asghar and he was slaughtered. And some maqtals, the way they explain it and how some scholars have seen it, which was from udhun bil udhun, from ear to ear, in the sense that the throat has very soft areas, the skin area. It's easy for an arrow to pass. And from here to here, it was like from ear to ear. Humayd ibn Muslim narrates, he was one of the reporters in the enemy camp. Most of the maqtals, the reports are from people in the enemy camp, because Yazid said, send hundreds. I want to know exactly, dot to dot, what happened. Humayd ibn Muslim said, I saw the scene of the slaughtering. I was situated in the vicinity of the Imam. All of a sudden, I observed a lady full of light exit the tents. She was wearing a long garment, and her feet would keep making contact with the garment. She fell over once or twice, shouting, Wa wayla, wa qatila, wa muhjata qalba. O slaughtered one, O killed one, O life of my heart. She was exclaiming this with her cries and lamentations, and even the members of Bani Umayyah who were there and stone-hearted, even they were crying. She threw herself beside the slaughtered child and cried more. Following her, Humayd is saying this, a number of other females came out of the tents. At a distance, they resembled shining pearls. The Imam exclaimed, What are you doing to the enemy? The women returned to the tents. I, Humayd, asked, Who is this lady? To those around him. They said, Kulthum. And who are the others? The reply came, Fatima, Sakina, Ruqayya, and Zainab alayhi salam. And then Humayd said, I couldn't control myself, crying. Imam Hussein then took Ali Asghar and gave him to Lady Zainab. He then placed his hands under Ali Asghar's throat, and it was like a cup full of blood, and he threw all the blood up into the sky. And then Imam Baqir in a hadith says that not a drop of that returned onto the earth. Then the Imam said, حَوَّنَ عَلَيَّ مَا نَزَلَ بِي أَنَّهُ بَأَيْنَ اللَّهِ. The fact that we are under Allah's eyes, that Allah is watching over us, this we tolerate and have comfort in the events of what's happening. And it was then that the Imam heard an angel say, Ya Hussein, da'hu fa inna lahu murda'an fil jannah. Hussein, leave him now, because there's a breastfeeder, a wet nurse awaiting him in heaven. The Imam didn't take Ali Asghar alayhi salam, though where they would usually take the martyrs. And the reason they say is because Robab was there and she may have passed out. And so, in another place, with his sword, they semi-buried Ali Asghar, and then later Imam Sajjad. When he buried Imam Hussein, he buried Ali Asghar with him. Ala la'natullahi ala al-qawm al-zalimin.